Hey toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another figure review for you guys here today. And today we're looking at Hasbro's Marvel Legends Absorbing Man Wave Morbius figure released in 2016. If you're not familiar with Morbius, he first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 101 from 1971, created by comic book legends Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. Originally appearing as a mysterious vampiric stowaway who would lock horns with Spider-Man and the Lizard, we would eventually discover Morbius was the end result of a failed attempt by Dr. Michael Morbius to cure himself of a rare blood disease. After his comic book-infused lab debacle, Morbius, like many vampires in fiction, suddenly found himself with increased speed, strength, agility, and a healing factor, all without suddenly inheriting a nonsense sparkly complexion. Also, it should be noted, unlike his 90s animated counterpart, Morbius also has a set of fangs to suck blood from his unsuspecting victims in place of a set of Saturday morning friendly hand suckers. You know the ones I'm talking about. Anyway, enough with the backstory. As you can see here, we do have the typical Marvel Legends packaging we've been seeing in 2016 with the more elegant style lettering at the top that does remove the full Marvel Legends logo. We've got a window box packaging that does house the figure inside as well as his Build-A-Figure pieces. At the bottom, we've got the logo for Marvel Spider-Man. Then finally, the package does say this is a Villains of the Night figure. Morbius actually shares packaging with Jack-O-Lantern from the same wave. On the reverse side of this packaging, we do have the Marvel Legends logo in the upper left and the bio for this figure in the upper right. We do have a beautiful combined image of Jack-O-Lantern and Morbius towards the center. Further down the packaging, we do have the Build-A-Figure Absorbing Man logo, and then a complete lineup of all the figures available in this wave, as well as what their Build-A-Figures combined to create. We have Absorbing Man off to the left. Alright toy fans, what say we get this Midnight Sun out of the box and see what he's all about. Okay toy fans, so here we have Morbius out of the packaging, and it's a figure like this that really makes me wish I had some sort of rotating display base or a flight stand for this guy, because the cape accessory that he's got on his back here, I think is pretty cool. Granted, it's only really good for one pose, and that's his arms up like this, but I think it's an excellent inclusion and really kind of conveys one of the comic book looks for the character as he's about to strike on an unsuspecting victim. That cape is, however, removable. It's one of the accessories Morbius actually comes with. As you pull it off here, you see it does have sort of a bat shape. It's got some nice sculpt work on the inside for the fabric of the actual item, but then we have an interchangeable cape that I actually prefer more, which just kind of hangs flat on the back of the figure. And I've got to say, I love that this thing is red on the inside. All of the preview images for Morbius leading up to his release only showed the cape next to the figure like this, and I had no idea if it was going to be red on the inside like his collar, so I'm glad that they actually made that red. But it plugs into the hole in the back of this figure's back. It's actually a hole that was originally used for a Captain America shield, as this is the Bucky Cap figure mold. And as you can see here, having the more relaxed look for the cape definitely gives you more options when it comes to posing this figure around, so I really appreciate that that's been included. Also, it's kind of subtle, but I like the sort of shape that you get from the collar tip to the actual end of the cape. It's really easy for me to believe that it's one continuous piece of fabric connected to the back of the costume. Paintwork for this figure is pretty minimal. As you see, we do have some red paint on the waist for the actual belt of the costume. I do feel like it could have been a stronger shade of red. Maybe one or two more coats of paint would have been added to that. Could have been nice. There's also been white paint applied to the forearm of this figure and onto the hand, and then black paint on the fingernails. And that you also see that there's sort of a wash here on the figure. Now, in theory, I like that they included that wash because they probably just didn't want to have this stark white sort of skin showing on the figure, making it look too cartoony, which for Hasbro is actually kind of an interesting concept. But as you see here, it does end up making, in my opinion anyway, the figure look pretty dirty. So I wish they would have handled that a little bit differerently. We have that same sort of paintwork here on the front of the figure. White paint for the upper chest, we have white paint for the plastic molding on the head, and then they've done that same sort of dark wash on the figure. And again, I feel like it just makes him look a little bit dirty. But we have some clean paint for the actual facial hair on the figure. I think that looks really nice. Inside the mouth, it's been painted red very cleanly, and the teeth are actually coming through quite nicely. Those have also been painted. And I love the eyes here. Red eyes with the black rings around them, I think it looks really nice. The hair sculpt is black. It's sculpted plastic that has the kind of the hair strands going down. No highlighting in the hair. That would have actually been nice to see, I think, instead of doing this paint wash. Maybe they could have done a little bit of highlighting in the hair, but overall, really, it's a great looking piece. Not a lot has been done to this Bucky Cap mold, but what they have done, I think, works really well. Articulation is exactly what we've seen from Bucky Cap figures before, with a little bit of hindrance from this collar. His head doesn't look back so far, and that's also due to his hair, but it will look left and right, and it looks down pretty nicely. He's got a ball-jointed shoulder that rotates all the way around and bends out from the body that far. Upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, rotation at the wrist, and a hinge to bend back that far and down that far. He's got an ab crunch so he can bend forward that far, bend back very far. Rotation at the waist, hip joints that'll bend forward that far, back that far, out from the body not so much. Upper thigh rotation, double jointed knee, and a foot that'll bend forward that far, back that far, and an ankle pivot. Also, he's got a boot rotation. Almost forgot to mention that. Height-wise, we can see that Morbius does stand just a little bit over 6 inches tall. For some size comparison, here he is compared to the Pizza Spider-Man from the Phil Urich Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure wave. Here he is compared to the granddaddy of this body mold, Bucky Cap. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. I hunger. Sorry, Bob, I just donated. Why don't you bother him? A what? Ah, look at that. You have my thanks. Don't mention it. So, how was it? It was acid. Oh no. Haha, acid blood. What are you gonna do? Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Legends Absorbing Man Wave Morbius figure released by Hasbro in 2016. Overall, I've got to say, this is a pretty good reuse of the Bucky Cap mold. I like that Hasbro tried to give us a little bit of paint shading, even though I don't feel like it was executed very well, and I feel like that extra paint effort would have worked out better on either his costume or the hair for the figure. He's got an excellent head sculpt, I love the interchangeable capes, and if you're a fan of Spider-Man and his Rogues Gallery, this is a pretty essential character to add to your collection. So you'll definitely want to pick him up. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys like what you saw here, do me a big favor and give this video a like. It really helps me out. And as always, you can keep up with me at D21Beast on Twitter and Instagram. And I'll see you guys next time.